Also new at 11 tonight, city leaders in Wilmington approved spending more money on a sports complex.
City Council voted unanimously tonight to put another $544,000 toward the nCino sports complex. The funding covers extra expenses to install lighting in the parking lot and restrooms. Council approved more than $1.3 million last year to help meet soil requirements for the project, which is being built on a former landfill site off Highway 421. The complex is set to be finished later this year.
Council also approved funding that'll remove more than 350 tree stumps in the public right-of-ways around the city. Some will be replaced with new trees along the way. The removal should cost about $50,000. An additional $100 grand will be set aside for future stump removal contracts. And the downtown waterfront could soon be expanding.
Council heard a resolution to set aside $32 million for major expansion. The money would be used to buy 2 blocks of riverfront property, construction and equipment of a sports complex, among other street and sidewalk improvements.
Part of the money will also be used to repair a bulkhead wall near the future Water Street Park riverfront edge. Public hearing is set for March the 19th.